Hello, everyone. We're here today with Dr. Dixon. She is the program director for Arkansas Tech's Masters of School Counseling and Leadership. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about the school counseling program, the licensure that goes along with that, and the jobs that you can get with that. So up first, Dr. Dixon, will you tell us just a little bit about your program?
Oh, I'd love to. Excuse me. It's 45 hours and we meet primarily online once a month, either a Tuesday or a Thursday night. And oh gosh, it's a great program. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet the students in your cohort when we meet once a month. And we also have some times when we might WebEx if there are some questions. So we do meet online as well and through discussion board. But we would love to have you come and join us.
What kind of majors typically, undergraduate majors typically join your program?
Well, we have a lot of teachers, those that have a teaching degree. And then we also have students who have a psychology degree or a sociology degree or a rehabilitation science degree. And of course, we're always interested, and you're welcome to apply with any other degree, and we can talk about your reasons for wanting to be a school counselor and decide whether or not you would be a good fit for the program.
Perfect. Okay, so if someone that is not already a teacher applies for your program, what kind of licensure do they get?
Yeah, that's a good question. They would get an initial licensure. It would be initial educator license that would work for the school counseling degree or school counseling job. They also, if they wanted, could work on adding the praxis so that they could teach. At the middle school level, it's fairly easy. You would take the praxis in the areas that you wanted to teach in, and you would be allowed to teach with that school counseling license.
Okay. So primarily, these are people that are either looking to move out of a classroom or move into public school. Is that right? And they're looking to move into just the school counseling position in public school.
Yes, and I tell people that are questioning what they want to do, if they have a love for students and helping students, then it's a great job because they, instead of teaching all day, they would actually have time to work with students on social emotional development.
Right.
And not only that, but they work in the area of career development and in the area of academic development. So it's a very exciting role. You don't just do one thing all day. I mean, there's lots of different tasks that a school counselor does.
And is this a K-12 licensure? So would they be able to work with whatever age group they wanted to?
Yes, it is a K through 12 licensure. During their 2-semester internship, where they get 300 hours a semester, which is a lot, they work at the different levels. So if I decided I want to be a secondary counselor, I would get 80% of my internship hours at the secondary level, but I would also be required to have at least 20% of my hours for internship in the elementary level as well.
Okay. So I know with teaching license and school counseling licensure, our programs are for Arkansas licensure. Do we have students from other states that go through this program?
Normally not. We haven't really looked into accommodating those students.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to do that, we would just have to they would have to check with the state in which they reside to see what any additional requirements they may have to apply for licensure in that state. But we normally do not take out of state students. But that's something we could look into.
So in your program, what do you think makes your school counseling and leadership program unique?
Well, it's the students, of course, but it's set up where I think from surveys and responses I've gotten from students, I think what makes it unique is that we do meet face to face once a month, and it's not completely online. And I think that in itself is nice for the students because they really get to know each other and I get to know them. You know, online learning is good, but I think it enhances the online learning for us to also meet face to face.
It builds a sort of cohort kind of feeling among everybody, right? We're all in this together.
Exactly, and they can talk to one another if they need help, and I think the courses too are set up where they're interactive, and if a individual is willing to do the reading and the work, you know, they're going to get lots and lots of information to help them be a better student. So I think the course setup is really good as well um, as the meeting, you know, once a month.
Right. So speaking of courses, what do you think is like the most interesting course that they would get to take?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would tell you, it would have to be my favorite course, which is counseling skills too. And this is where we take the basic skills that we've learned in dealing with the students and generally dealing with anyone, you know, like reflecting skills and paraphrasing and, you know, attending skills. And we look at theory. So there are 11 theories that we learn about in this course. And then we look at strategies to use that align with the theory. So I think it kind of puts some extra tools in the toolbox so that when you are working with students in the social emotional realm, you can think, I'm going to look at this strategy that goes with reality therapy because I think this would work well in this situation. Again, if the student is willing to read and learn and practice, they could be quite confident in using these skills in their own practice with students. And I think it kind of is the counseling part of the program because we also have leadership courses, as you know, and we also have strictly how to set up a school counseling program, those types of courses. But this is kind of an individual fulfillment where I'm learning about what these different theorists thought and how they thought what's the best way to work with people that have this issue. And so you it's not just you thinking what you need to do with the student. You can actually grab these strategies that are part of a theory and feel very competent in what you're doing.
Right. So not only are you the program director, but you're also kind of the primary faculty member for this program, right? And I know you do a lot of research and network in this field. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Well, I will tell you in the past, I actually did a nice article on a new law that was put in place in Arkansas where counselors spend 90% of their time indirect services with students. And not only did I do research on that, I was actually there when the governor signed it, but we also did a survey and surveyed counselors and superintendents to ask them whether or not this was being implemented. The results were interesting. You know, most said yes, some said no, and it kind of came down to rural versus, you know, urban schools. Those that have more resources seem to be able to allow counselors to do that. Not that all small school districts don't do that, they do, but it was kind of an interesting the results were interesting because it was mainly that they are trying to implement that. And I think generally they are. And then the other thing that I'm very passionate about is I'm looking at group counseling. In my visiting with school counselors across the state, I've found that a lot of them do not do group counseling, especially at the secondary level. And my question is, why not? So that's kind of something that I'm looking at, sending out a survey to see what's causing them not to implement group counseling. Because to me, you know, you've got kids with a similar problem, you can visit with them all at once, and they'd really rather visit with each other, let's be honest. So, I mean, if you get a group of kids with the same problem and you are a good facilitator of the group counseling sessions, it's very valuable. But I think there's some things that are causing school counselors, maybe they don't have the time or um, maybe the expertise of how to implement these properly. So I think that would be, or that is something that I'm looking into, and maybe I can do a sabbatical or something and try to figure out how to best help counselors be able to implement group counseling.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have anything else you want to tell us about your master's program?
Yeah, I would just say if you're thinking about getting a graduate degree and you have a love for students and a love for individuals and you have a passion for helping them solve issues in their lives, or helping them come up with some strategies to solve their own issues in their lives, then this would be the job for you. I think it's really rewarding and you build wonderful relationships with these students. And if you're a person that wants to give back, I think this is a perfect role in which you can give back to others. And again, it's not just social emotional. If you or have a concern about what are kids going to do after they get out of school, then
Right.
this is something as a school counselor you would really work with them on. What are you good at? Or let's look, you're really good in math. Even at the elementary levels, start encouraging those students who have gifts or are really good in certain areas to pursue interest in that area. And then, of course, academics. It's nice to have another person in the school that works with kids who are having academic trouble. You might get a 5 weeks progress list and see that there's kids that normally make A's and B's and they're making C's and D's. What's going on? So that's something you investigate and help those figure out what's going on with them to help them before it's too late, at 9 weeks or semester. So yeah, it's a it's a great job.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And if you're watching this and you are interested in Dr. Dixon's program, you can always reach out to us at gradrecruiter@atu.edu. Thank you, Dr. Dixon.
You're welcome. Great to see you.